Hello, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Anna. Welcome to the studio for the first time ever. First podcast that he's ever done. We're in Zeiders.
Yo.
Hey.
Feels good, man.
Hey, East Coaster too.
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Yeah, representing a Hershey, Pennsylvania lifestyle.
Correct. Yeah. It's cool, man. Waving that flag for PA, you know. First one that comes to mind, obviously, one of the biggest artists on the planet, Taylor Swift. She's from Philly. So, but being a country music artist myself and kind of waving that flag for people up north in Pennsylvania and Ohio and whatnot, I mean, that's my stomping grounds, man. Like, they love me up there.
Dude, you're very fascinating though, because you don't come from a musical family.
Nope.
Outside of like just the music your grandpa would play in the, you know, the garage. But you're an incredibly musical person, but you're also hyper competitive.
Yep.
And I there's just a lot to unpack here.
There is, man. You know, I come off super chill and whatnot, but I'm a pretty complex human myself. I think for me, you know, you talk about, you know, competitive. That's my background in sports my whole life.
Yeah.
Played lacrosse for 12 years, East Coast boy. You know, it's huge in PA, New York.
I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. Spent a lot of time there for lacrosse tournaments and showcases and whatnot. But the musical thing, man, all I can say is sitting here on this podcast, it's from the good Lord. And that's what I believe. I think that's my gift.
Genuinely, because your path was to be a professional lacrosse player, or you wanted to at least go to college for that and see how far it would take you.
Yeah, you know, there was no mindset that I had of like, I'm going to go play professional lacrosse. It was just that I always knew I wanted to go play collegiately, which I ended up doing so. And, you know, whether it was D1 or D2 or D3, I ended up going playing D3 and, you know, face some adversity. I think that, you know, we all face our own adversity in life, and that was something I was going through where I had my sixth concussion. My first one in college was day 2 of practice, and I was, you know, kind of promised playing time, quite a substantial amount of playing time as a freshman. That's why I went with them, because I didn't want to go ride the bench, and, you know, my whole focus was to go play and do the song and dance, and that put me out about 6 months and went through some pretty interesting, you know, dark times, I would say, in my life of just, it was so bad, man, that I couldn't be on my phone, couldn't watch TV, like lights killed me. I wasn't going to class. I ended up missing final exams and stuff. So it was an interesting time in life.
So how does music creep back into your life? Because it had been around previous, right? Like, you picked up the guitar when you were pretty young.
Yep.
You're like the 6th grade.
Yep.
And then you end up going on stage for the first time ever in one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. I mean, you should retell it. But, like, it is true that, like, you requested a song, some, like, chick was just performing at, like, a bar or something, restaurant.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
She was taking requests.
Yeah.
You request a song. She can't play it.
Yep.
And you, for some reason, go, like, it's fine. Like, hold my beer. I will sing the song.
Yeah. So to get to that point of the story, I'm in college, had my first concussion, you know, I'm going through that. I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to let this, you know, tear me down. Like, this is what I've worked, you know, the past 12 years of my life for. So I went ahead and trained all winter long, came back to play, and I had my next one. And it was just something that, you know, I had to come to Jesus moment of just like, you know, this isn't for me anymore. So ended up hanging it up, transferring schools, moved back home under mom and dad's roof, and I'm commuting to school. So one night we're out for a dinner at a spot that, you know, we've been going to for some time now. Like you said, girl was just playing live music. And, you know, after giving up lacrosse, something that I identified with, you know, you do something for so long, you grow an identity to it.
Dude,
like,
it is a part of who you are.
It is.
And it's how people perceive you, too.
Yeah, I was the college athlete. I was the kid who was good at lacrosse, and it was always, you know, how's school going, how's training going, how's all this. So when you didn't have that, you're kind of like, you're lost for a second. You're trying to figure out what's your next hobby, what's your next thing that, because I'm such a devoted person and a commitment person that when I find something and I commit myself to it, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. So that to be said, we're out to eat and she's playing live music, and I tell this story as if it was just like an angel put their hand on my shoulder. I wasn't the kind of guy, I'm a huge extrovert, love talking to people, love doing the thing, but singing live music, like I had the most amount of nerves ever of just like being in public and doing that. And for me to get up and be like, hey, I'll do it. I couldn't believe like what my body was telling me to do. it was such an out of body experience. My mom's face was like, what is going on right now? Like, you don't do this. You barely play for our friends and family around the campfire. So I went up and did it, and she was under the assumption that, have you been to Nashville? You have a manager and like all these things. I'm like, I've never done this before. And that's kind of where the snowball kind of started to happen.
Just, you didn't think about it, you just did it.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
I think it's just something that like innately was in me and needed to be woken up, because then that happened and I'm still in school and stuff, and this is pre-COVID. So then I go around and I end up playing maybe 2-3 more bars with her. And, you know, she let me play in between her set or whatever. And I play for 15 minutes. And there was this, like, I take things as signs. And if you pay attention to them and like actually fall into them and receive them, then like there's things in the world trying to tell you something.
Amen.
And people are telling me, hey, you know, like, do you post? Is there stuff on Spotify? And like, they're like, and I'm like, nah, like, this is my third time playing in front of people, and like, I'm taking it so casually. So then I kind of take that, and then I take to social media, and it happened when COVID hit, because then obviously we weren't out at bars playing anymore. COVID hits. I'm a huge extrovert. I'm like, I got to take this energy and put it somewhere. So I start posting on social media, and things just start to just happen.
Changes your life.
Completely. Completely. In 3 years. And here we are.
Do you feel like a part of you was, everything was needed for a reason, but do you feel like you were wasting your energy and your talent essentially on lacrosse? Like there was some sort of like this was inside you. Like, dude, clearly, like you had this ability for a long time, but you just never gave it thought or focus or even had the conscious or subconscious energy to like tap into it.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the money. I think that I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and I think I had to go through that time period of my life where my focus was on athletics, because I attest a lot of my success to where I'm at right now.
Hell yeah.
Because of my athletic background, because, you know, people from the outside looking in to what you do, what I do.
Pro athlete.
Yeah, it's
in a different way.
It's a pro athlete thing, and it's, you know, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and stuff like that where people are like, oh, like I want to do what you do, and I'm like, but you don't want to do what I have to do to be in this position. It's not just playing shows. It's not just, you know, oh, you know, I go out and party and I'm out drinking. It's like, that's not the guy you're having a conversation with. Like, I'm the athlete that plays the show. I go in, I shower up, I'm on my bus talking to my content guy. I'm figuring out what we're doing the next day. I'm figuring out what content we got that night, like what's going on YouTube, what's going on TikTok. Like, I am just such a driven, focused individual of, I don't really personally, you know, everyone can do their own thing, but I don't get caught up in the whole scene, so to speak. I'm very just kind of meticulous and focused on what I'm doing, because I am so driven and I want to win that badly, and winning is up to interpretation differently.
So what is winning to you?
Exactly. So like, that's been the tough answer for me, so to speak, going from being an athlete. You know, you go play a sport, lacrosse. I had
It's a defined
4 ground balls, 3 assists, 4 goals, right? We won the game. Now we're going to the next game, or we won the conference, or we won state. You know what I mean? Like, there's a thing there. Music is it's art, it's interpretation. You can write 6 great songs that you think are great and come from the heart, but maybe they don't resonate on social media. And that's a current day and age we're in. You got to find out what connects with people and how to approach it. And, you know, that's the fun thing for me, is like, you can have a great song, but it comes down to the marketing of it and how do you push it and all these different ways of reaching your fan base and reaching a new demographic. So to answer your question about winning for me is consistency, and knowing that, never skipping a step, waking up each day and knowing that like, I'm doing things to better myself in my own personal life, which is going to turn into my career-driven life. So I'm an ice bath guy. Waking up every morning, getting in 39-degree water, it sucks every morning. You wake up and do it. It doesn't get better the next day. but it's knowing that like, okay, this is my therapeutic time. This is my time to go into meditation and you know, take this in. What do I have to do today? If I can take this win into the rest of my day, I'm better suited as a person and to better, you know, push my goals and whatnot. So there's a bunch of different ways I look at winning. You know, before I came in here, I'm looking at Apple Wrapped, I'm looking at Amazon Wrapped, you know, Spotify Wrapped, where everyone kind of posts how your streams were, how everything's going, right? To put it into perspective, you know, I'm looking at these numbers. 3 years ago, I had 50 million streams on, I know we're on Amazon right now, but I'm just using this as an example. 50 million streams in a year on Spotify 3 years ago to then 500 million streams just this past year on Spotify. So it's like, that to me is a win. And it's like, okay, you get one victory lap. This is a win. Take this. You know what you're doing is working. Do better next year. And it's just continuously growing.
Can you recognize the ceiling though?
I think that there is no ceiling for me. And, you know, you're talking to a dude. I'm loving this, by the way. I'm glad that this is my first experience because I listen to podcasts all the time. And like, I listen to huge into motivation, huge into, you know, the David Goggins of the world and the Jocko Wilkins and, you know, Joe Rogans of these guys that like to get into the inside of your brain. And I think happy, never satisfied, because the second you're satisfied, you're never driven. You've hit your ceiling. So for me, it's like, okay, here we are talking music. Well, no one's saying I can't get into acting one day. No one's saying I can't have my own blah, blah, blah kind of brand. Like I have to keep feeding that beast because I just have that big of a personality and I just want to win in so many different facets of life.
So what is the motivating factor genuinely into music? Like, are you making music for yourself or are you doing it for other people?
I think I'm doing it for myself. I think I'm doing it for both reasons. You know, I mean, I keep saying that, but me 3 years ago in my childhood bedroom, I gave up lacrosse. I'm not pursuing music. I have no one in my life telling me that it's worth doing. Like, no one's telling me that I have a gift that I need to share. You have to understand that, like, doing this for the past 3 years, I'm 25 years old. Like, I'm learning myself, as we all are, each and every day. It doesn't matter how old you are. We're still learning ourselves year to year. We're always growing. We're always expanding, and life is difficult. But I think for me, it's just like, I'm growing through this so rapidly while I'm trying to grow up. You know what I mean? Like, while I'm trying to become a man and all this stuff. And it's such a juggle in the world. It's like, oh, I'm not a writer. I'm not an artist. Now people are like, hey, we want original music. And now I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to write. And I got to do this and I got to do that. So it's like baptized by fire. But now over the course of 3 years, now I have such a foundation and a ground level and kind of just like I'm a little bit more, how do I put this? Grounded in my feet and my footing of just kind of understanding it all now. So yeah, like it's such a therapeutic thing for me. At first, it did feel like, okay, I'm doing this because this is a once in a life opportunity and people want me to write and do this stuff. So I'm going to do it and I'm going to pursue it. But now it's like, I love what I get to do. I just got off the road with Jelly Roll and played 39 shows in front of 15, 16, 17,000 people in arenas. And it's like every time I hit that stage, man, it's like, this is what I was born to do. It's that feeling. I become that animal going on stage. It's that athletic background of just like, this is what I was meant to do.
So what do you tap into when you're in the studio writing a record? What is there a different version of that?
I think so. You know, not one record's written the same and not one song's written the same. And I think that what's so much fun about doing this I don't even call it a career, man. It's a lifestyle. Like, this is a 365 all year round. People
don't totally understand that.
Yeah. It's like I eat, sleep, and breathe this thing, man. I go to bed thinking about it. I wake up in the middle of the night with an idea. It is a part of you. It's that thing we were talking about earlier on, but it's like that identity thing of just like, and dude, I think
extension of you, who you are. It's more. It's like it's all of it in one.
It is, and I think that, you know, like, there's an obsession with it, and like an obsession with it, and I think that that's a thing that if you want to be great in what you do, I think that's a part of it. Like, you have to be obsessed with what you do because there's days you're going to wake up and not going to want to do it. Like you're not going to always have that motivation, so to speak. It's that discipline, that drive that's going to continue to keep you going forward because you're obsessed with what you do. So back to the writing of a record, you know, I was in Miami over the summer and I was on what's called a writing retreat. And that's kind of where you get out of Nashville, you go away with some people and stuff, and you get out of the scene and all the noise and stuff, and you bring the people together that, you know, you may want to write with for that trip. And I was going for a week, and we wrote like 9 songs in 5 days. And to me, that has been some of the most fun I've had in the process of writing, because you're out of the noise, you're out of all of it, and you just kind of ideas flow, because it doesn't feel so, how do I put this, structured. Totally. Or feel super corporate. It's just super just like, this is how great music's created because it's coming from the heart. And you're in a non-restricting area. Which,
by the way, is like not necessarily the Nashville way, right? Mm-hmm. The Nashville way is very like a 9 to 5, mm-hmm. like nothing goes really late. You mm-hmm. show up 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, like it is a structured thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people make a job out of it. I mean, historically, it's just how the world works over there.
It is, and you know, it can work. And I've written great songs like that. My first official #1 song on country radio and my first hit was
great record, by the way.
Thank you. Pretty Little Poison. It was what's so cool about that is that that song was all 3 of ours first #1 songs together.
Really?
And the other 2 dudes, Jared Keim and Ryan Beaver, were 2 guys I knew early on coming to Nashville. You know, they welcomed me with open arms. They've been in the town for 10 plus years and have had great songs, but they didn't reach that #1 pinnacle. So for me to be the dude to come in and have us all share that beautiful moment together and have that first #1 together was just super cool. But that was in a writer's room in Nashville. It was on a doom and gloom day. I can remember the day specifically. I know exactly where we were. And I had the title. Ryan had the title. I said, here's my idea. Here's my concept. I want to write this dark love ballad with a twist of just like, it's a darker tone, minor key, all this stuff. And he threw up Pretty Poison. I said, what if we wrote Pretty Little Poison? And from that moment on, hour and a half later, we had a song, a demo, and I said, this song is going to be special. And it was just one of those days where you wrote something and you knew this is going to be iconic.
How about a song like Ride the Lightning? That seemed to have been done in a kind of similar way, right?
Similar way, man. And I always like to joke around and say that God's got a sense of humor. Wait till you hear this story. Ride the Lightning was the 2nd song I ever wrote in my life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it was my first official hit.
It's nuts. Well, the first song you write is, I mean, you're alone?
I'm alone. It's my first song I wrote was On the Run, and it's kind of like a murder ballad-esque kind of a song, super, you know, lo-fi, acoustic guitar. The back story behind that, man, is like I've been such a like, if you want to win in this world, no one can want it more for you. You have to be the one to want it. And for that specific thing, like when I was starting to get steam on social media, I had no one helping me. I went to YouTube. I went to Guitar Center. I'm like, I'm going to buy an interface. I don't know how this works. I'm going to buy a microphone. I'm going to have a free software on my laptop and plug all this stuff in and figure out how to record. And that song, On the Run, I recorded 10 times. They're all one takes, no mixing, no mastering, no engineering, nothing behind it, just me and a microphone singing the song and putting it out. From that moment to then meeting my manager who reached out to me, I come to Nashville during COVID still. I'm in his guest bedroom on a Zoom call. First ever co-write is on a Zoom because of COVID. I'm nervous. I am so nervous. I'm like, I have to be vulnerable. I'm like, these guys have been doing this for so long.
Yeah, by the way, with really incredible writers.
Yeah.
Eric
Pasley and Rob Crosby. And these are dudes who I'm just so nervous because I'm like, I don't want to make a fool of myself. I don't want to come off, you know, super green, even though I am. But again, you got to go through it to grow through it. So we did it. And after we wrote that song, I was like, this is cool. But, you know, I'm biased. I'm like, this is my first ever co-write, 2nd song I ever wrote. And I remember showing it to my manager and him being like, you can't put out the first song you ever wrote in Nashville. Like, you just can't do it. Like, you got to write 100 more to make sure that we know what we're doing here. Like, I'm like, okay. So I go back to Pennsylvania with this song, and I'm showing my friends, and I'm playing it for them on the guitar. They're like, that song's badass, man. Like, is that ever going to see the light of day? And I'm like, oh, you know, my manager, he's not completely sold on it. I guess he's right. Like, I need to write more to kind of figure out my footing and everything and make sure I'm on the right track. So I say, screw it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and post a video on social media with it. And boom, it just like took off like wildfire. And him and I look at each other and we're like, we don't even have this song recorded. This was just an acoustic video of me playing it. So the story gets better, man. We go to a studio. I swear. I haven't told the story in a second. We go to a studio, me and a guitar. I'm playing a no click, you know, like a click, tempo and everything. I'm playing it raw. No click, nothing. Headphones on, microphone, guitar. I'm playing it. Play it 3 times through, sing it 3 times, send it to a guy. We spend $10 on a mastering software.
What?
Online, like a $10 mastering. Like, normally in Nashville, you're going to like a professional who masters records and everything. We master this acoustic song, and we're putting up, like, we're trying to figure out artwork and everything. We had like a photo of me in the studio. We're like, this will be cool. Let's build our artwork in his home office at his house. And we're trying to get a pre-save link up. The song had like 40,000 pre-saves in 2 weeks. And we're like, what is going on? So we put it out, and it just took off. And then from dropping out of college to putting out my first song to signing a record deal was all in the span of 6 months. It was just like off to the races.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But also what you were meant to do.
Yeah. I can't drive this home enough. My story is nothing but baptized by fire, because then it was, this happens. Then I'm talking to mom and dad, and they're trying to figure out, like, is this real? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, like what's their take? Because your mom is really smart. She's like a CFO.
Yeah. So they're trying to take this all in, and they're like, oh, you have 500,000 followers on TikTok. Like, what's that mean to me? Like, I don't understand these numbers. So then we have the song, and then the song's taken off, and then I'm like, hey, like, I got my first record deal, like, that just came through the pipeline, and like, hey, me and Charlie, we're gonna come up, and like, we're gonna take the train, and we're gonna go to New York, and then we're gonna be flown out to LA, and we're gonna go meet with, and they're trying to take this all in while I'm trying to take it all in, and we're meeting with everybody, and we're sifting through it all, and it was just like one thing after another, man, and yeah, so now mom was a CFO, and now both my parents work for me full time.
No way.
Yep.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yep. My mom is my business manager, so she handles my finances, a million other things. My dad's working for me full time. He's kind of like a jack of all right now, but he runs my online merch store, which is super cool because like he touches the merch and gets it out to the fans and stuff, and they love to see that. And he's my merch manager on the road. So
wait, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really special.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so cool.
I love it because my family and I say that I owe everything to my faith and my family, because my parents did, you know, such a great job raising my sister and I, and instilled a lot of great disciplines into me. And I think it's that, and it is the athletic background. And my dad was a hell of an athlete, and he was always the one that never missed a game, was always out back practicing with me, always making sure that he was at the showcases and college visits and all this. And man, that man really taught me how to be a man and have some drive. And he knew when to have love and knew when to have tough love.
How did country become your genre?
So country music for me, my mama, she was the country fan growing up. So man, I heard nothing but Garth Brooks, George Strait, Shania Twain in the car from mama. And my dad was the rocker, Motley Crue, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. So that's why you have this infusion in my music where some of it leans rock and rock, southern rock, country kind of esque music, where that's where my influences, and lyrically, and, you know, some of the topics that I choose to write about. Like, I grew up in the church, and I attest a lot of my attest my success to my faith and everything. And my love for music really did begin in the church for me. That's how I best connected with my faith.
Do you feel like your competitive edge helps you in the country genre?
100%.
But they're really nice competitors.
They are to your face.
Interesting.
To your face.
Whoa.
That, you know, if you, yeah, it's a dance, man. It is, you know, everyone has that being in this industry, whether they show it or not, everyone's got that edge to them. I just do a little bit more of showing it. I don't hide it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard things like, you know, artists calling program directors who are sitting at number one, asking them to play their song less so another song can take over. I've heard like really kind gestures.
No, 100%. I'm not saying that we're not nice in country music. I'm not saying that. I feel like people mistake my edge sometimes and they try to soften my edges, but
you're
like
East Coast.
That's a part of me. It's a part of who I am and everything. And I'm very kind and I'm very respectful and very sweet, but I'm a man on a mission. I guess that's a way to put it. And you know, I told you once I'm committed to something, I'm fully committed.
So can we talk about evolution of music here between like album number one, and I know that there could be things coming up, but we did just get an album.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Relapse.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also released a whole other record that is kind of introing a new era, correct?
Yep.
It's a great song, You For a Reason, and it's a great meaning.
Thank you.
This concept that people do just come into your life for a season.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think like the hardest person, like it's hard to like convince yourself of that.
Yeah. No, and actually, you know, funny enough, like I kind of heard that concept through listening to, where was it? I was somewhere, I might have been making breakfast one morning and I was listening to like a sermon of like a preacher talking about just like whatever it was. And it was talking about, you know, seasons and seasons change and people will come into your life and everything. And it kind of like clicked for me. And that's where like the title came, like You For a Reason. And like, obviously there's a girl behind it. And, you know, she was a very special girl and was in my life for 2 years. And, you know, and I just had that concept and I loved it so much because whether it's a relationship, whether it's friends or whatever, it's like, it might have been just for a season, but that it was that person for that season to make you learn this lesson, make you grow to be better, make you understand what maybe you don't want in a relationship. Like all these things happen. Lacrosse for me, that was a season. Yeah. It was a long season, but I went through that to understand it made me better. That's no longer a part of my chapter. On to the next season, and here we are now for the last 3 years of doing this. And that's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. That song is very special to me.
So what kind of growth happens between Relapse and, I mean, You For a Reason, like, and whatever's coming next? And just for I need to understand, like, the Miami writing camp wrote for which album?
For the stuff that's coming up. So, you know, you're talking about my first ever project I put out, which was the 717 Tapes project.
Yes.
Then I have Pretty Little Poison, which is my first official debut album. That's my first record. And then we just dropped, which is, I use these words, if people pay attention, just to like, for my fans and stuff, Relapse the Project. It's called The Project for a reason because it's not the song. So there's Relapse the song, and then I dropped Relapse the Project, which had 10 songs on it, right? Mm-hmm. So people were like, oh, we love this new album. And I'm like, it's a project. I'm not calling an album because there's more stuff coming that I've been working on. So I use...
Sorry.
No. That's not me. That's no.
Some people go like mixtapes. This is the first time I've ever heard project.
No, 100%. But like, I love that kind of stuff because my background's in marketing and business and stuff. And that's something that Taylor Swift does a great job on. Like if you look at my Pretty Little Poison album, everything's black and white. The roses are red. The text is red. Everything is very red colored infused in that whole era. Red cowboy hat. Everything was super tight knit with that. Relapse is orange. That's my next color of just how I'm seeing things on.
Does that color continue into what's coming next?
Yeah. So there's Relapse the song. That's my current song on country radio. Dropped Relapse the Project, I want to say towards the end of summer is when that just came out. And now, right now, I'm finishing up and working on the final pieces for the rest of the project to finish the album coming up here in the top of the year. So a lot of new music coming. So it's been a fun time, man. It's been a fun time creating, and there is new nuances in my music with what's coming up, but there's also that Pretty Little Poison, Ride the Lightning guy, and I think that that's never going to leave me. That's always going to be a part of my writing and a part of who I am, and because people fall in love with the artist early on. You hear the stories in music all the time. I liked the last record better, and I like this, or his OG album was better, and all this stuff. But we're artists. We grow, we develop, we find a new thing. We want to tap into it. We want to try it out. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is just for a season. Maybe it was just for that record. But it's such a fun thing being 25, being 3 years in the industry, and growing simultaneously with your career and finding new things that you like. Like Relapse was different for me. It's a different production. It does have a little bit of pop fuse to it, I would say. Does that mean I'm going pop country? No, but it just means that was a time where I found a new sound that I really liked, and I wanted to tap into it. So hopefully that answers your question.
What are the elements that remain no matter the sonics that you're creating?
I think that what I've really captivated fans with is allowing my vocal to shine, very much so like a Chris Stapleton, allowing that vocal to sit on top and shine through. And the best way my vocal shines through is through a song like Pretty Little Poison, or like a You for a Reason, like you're talking about, where really what drives that song is the lyrics, the vocal, the piano. It's a very ballad-esque driven song, and it's the sentiment and the emotion and feeling that you get when listening to a ballad. And those are always the songs that make me cry and always connect with me the best. And that's why I think I shine so bright on those songs, because those are the huge moments in my shows.
By the way, you can listen to all of Warren's music. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. It's there. It's waiting. It's chilling. What are you thinking?
Well, just so you know, this will be released the day you make a big announcement in January, so we can touch on certain things that are coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. Just everything that you're hinting towards. Because we have a title of what it could be, and I was wondering what the connection was, because there is the same.
But it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. So we got coming up here. I mean, what am I going? I got the Relapse tour coming up here, and going over to the UK for the first time. Never been over there. Never been overseas to UK. So I'm excited for that. And everything I do is super strategic and thought through, where everything's tied together. So you got the Relapse tour coming up. I come back. I got the Relapse tour in the US. Relapse is currently the song of country music. I have the next part of the project to finish the album coming out. So like the colors orange in the marketing, in the ad mats. I love marketing, and I love all the aspects of how you can hint at things and tease fans and titles and all this stuff to say the sentiments of what the album's going to say, and interpretation and all that whatnot. But yeah, I got like 10 plus new songs coming.
Are you thinking about marketing when making records, or do you park that skill at the door?
I do. And I don't allow it to I don't allow it to overtake my, how do I put this? My artistry. But it's like, even in the pop world and in, the pop writing, like you have people that write verses, you have people that write hooks, you have people that write choruses. Like the hook is one of the biggest bases of the song, when that girl, even if it was just for a season, it was you for a reason. Like those hooks are everything that are catchy and gets people to latch onto the song. But I think for me, it's not the marketing of it. It's when I'm writing, or I'm thinking in the studio of instrumentation and production. Like if you look at my record, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, and I'm a singer. Like I dabble and touch all these things because I care that heavily and want to be a part of every facet of the art and the aspect of my music, my career, all that. So when I'm writing and I'm recording stuff, I'm thinking of, okay, when I post this on social media, what are they going to gravitate towards? What are the lyrics saying? What is someone going to take away from this message if I have 15, 20 seconds of their time? Because everyone's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. You have to grab them so quick. So I do think of it in that way sometimes when I'm making my art and writing, because you want to captivate your audience. And in a period that we're so social media, driven and so just heavy, it's the only way to keep growing and keep reaching new audiences and stuff.
Are you writing from imagination or are you writing from reality?
A lot for me is whether it's 99%, 100%, 95%, 90% real. There are definitely songs in my catalog that are very, very real. And then there's other stuff too that, my manager always liked to joke with me, saying that I write stuff and then I go live it. So like there's stuff that
that shit's real. People do that all the time.
Yeah, like where he's like, you do this thing where you write about it and then you try to like warn yourself, but then you go act it out and go live it. And I'm like, yeah, I have done that with my song Pretty Little Poison. That is very real. I'm writing this song with these two dudes and they're talking about their Pretty Little Poison and what they've gone through. I'm like, man, like, I don't think I've ever really had that. And then as it was being released and going #1 and everything, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm glad I've gone through this. So now I really worked for this #1. Like I went through it. Now I really know. So, but then there's like a song like Relapse, man. Like that, it's another girl in my life. And, she was fun. And that was, again, Girl for a Season. But that song I wrote from a point of being young and, she's an ex, and we all have this story where you're not with your ex anymore, but you happen to see each other, and things happen, and you tend to relapse because they might be too good looking to say no to that night. But
just that night,
maybe a couple times. Not to share too much, but yeah, no, my songwriting process is different when it comes to each and every song. I approach them differently. Sometimes I walk into the room and it's my idea. Maybe it's my title. It's my melody. Sometimes I walk into a room and I just have a broad concept, and then I have the other dudes in my room who've written with me, know me, understand me, and they're like, hey, let's bring it in here. Let's go ahead and let's mess around on the guitar. Let's listen on the computer and listen back to some vibe pieces that maybe we can bring this idea to life. So I have a note on my phone with like a bunch of song titles and concepts that I'm constantly adding to, or voice notes of just melodies from sitting on my guitar at home at night of just humming stuff into it. It's 365, man. Eat, sleep, and breathe it.
No, you got to like be able to receive the ideas when they come.
100%.
Do you feel like one of the sexiest men?
Here it is. I was waiting for it.
I mean, you're queuing it up talking about all these girls for a season.
It doesn't hurt, man. It hasn't hurt my career.
But do you feel it? Do you believe it?
I feel good, man. I know it feels like a tough question to answer because it comes off as I'm a very confident individual, and I take pride in I work out. I eat healthy. I'm very regimented and everything, and so when it came through, I was a little surprised, but not too surprised. I was like, I'll take the crown for 25. It's not bad. Let me know when I get the cover.
But like, to be fair, like people can find you sexy. That doesn't necessarily mean you feel sexy or
I feel sexy.
Good on you. Damn. I saw the Kelly Clarkson appearance too.
That didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. That definitely helped in pole position, I want to say, for winning that. Because I remember we were in conversations with people and stuff, and then my PR lady, she was like, she told me about the how well received that video was. I mean, it's got like 10 million views on TikTok, and like I feel like every interview I've been in ever since that has always been, Kelly was flustered over you, just like lost her words. And I was so nervous going into that because that's my first time on like a TV interview officially. And I was like, because TV is so different. Like it's very like run and gun. It's like
totally.
You're getting ready and then it's like, we're ready for you now. It's like, what? Okay, I guess we're doing this.
Ready for you now for like 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then it's like, you're going, you're standing here. Doors are going to open. You're going to walk in, say hi, sit down. And then you're starting. I'm like, okay. So I'm nervous. And I'm like, you guys didn't tell me shit. So I go and I sit down. If you're listening to this, I love you guys. I appreciate the interview. I was just so flustered. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm nervous. And then that's how the interview opens up. I'm like, it's going to be a piece of cake, man. It's going to be like riding a bike. No worries. I get flustered her in the first 10 seconds of the interview. This is great. So it was a fun time. And that definitely helped with, I want to say, winning for People's Sexiest Man Alive at 25. Yeah.
Have you always had long hair?
Majority of my life, yes. You know, being the lacrosse player, always having the flow out the back of the helmet, that and
That's
hockey.
why you did it, eh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, yep. It was a thing. If people saw you had long hair, being on the East Coast, they either knew you played hockey or played lacrosse. So I've had that and it looks great coming out and it makes sense too because I wear a cowboy hat, so it looks great coming out of the cowboy hat and. That and the hair helped me win Sexiest Man Alive. The amount of women that want to know my hair care routine, products, all that stuff.
Have you shared?
This comes down to my marketing. So I'll tell you this.
Oh, you're gonna start your own line of hair care products?
Smart.
I'm no dummy, man. I am not giving out no secrets until I got a partnership or something and I'm getting paid to let people know what the secrets are. I mean, honestly, the secrets are good genetics and shout out to my grandmother for giving me good hair genetics. But the secret, if you're listening, don't wash your hair every day. Obviously, that's a given. I go about 3 days without washing it because that's when it starts to look the best and natural. But anyways, we're not here to talk about hair.
Well, tied in the music, you have talked about how you usually let the hair down on stage and you tie it up when you're not performing.
Yep.
Why is that?
I do it because, again, it makes it a moment. It makes it a moment because I'm doing meet and greets and I'm meeting fans and everything. And it's always like a topic of conversation. Like, I want to feel your hair. And it's like, or it's like, why isn't your hair down? And I'm like, come showtime, baby. The hair comes down. It's a thing. I keep it up, keeps it nice and curly, and then when it's showtime, comes down with the cowboy hat on and everything, sunglasses to start to show off, and I think through all of these things. Everything is a moment. Everything's tied together. It's not just you're showing up to a country show. You're showing up, leaving like I just went to a performance. I just went to a spectacle. That's the thing.
It's the right energy.
Yeah.
Dude, genius is in nuance and the tiny little details, and you got to think through everything, and you have to be obsessed. And it is a 365 thing.
It is.
Makes it hard to have other relationships, but
For a season, baby.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, when the time comes, and I think that right now with where I'm at and everything, it's a bob and weave, and it's just like I'm heavily focused on my career and what I'm doing, and taking a day at a time, and I am very much so. Obsessed with this, yes.
What do your childhood friends and your high school friends think of this? Because you went from a guy playing lacrosse to one of the biggest country stars in just a few short years.
To answer your question, again, talking about a season for a reason, like seasons and stuff like that, I had a lot of people that weren't overly happy for me. I want to say that much, and it's an unfortunate thing. Jealousy is a real thing, and not everyone's going to be happy for your success, and I think that. Takes a mature person to be happy for you. That all being said, my best friend since 4th or 5th grade, shout him out, Justin. Him and I were just at the Penn State-Ohio State game together. Love him to death. Living this life, he is not surprised by anything now. I call him up with 24 hours notice. I'm like, yo, biggest game of the year, Ohio State against Penn State at home. I just hit up my boys. I'm coming up. I'm flying in. We're picking you up. We're going to go up to State College. Field passes, we're going to the field, we're watching the game and stuff, and he's like, I'm like, if you have any plans, cancel them now because I'm coming up and we're doing this thing. So, but for him, what's so cool about him, with him being my homie, he actually witnessed a lot of this in real time. So when I was starting to post on social media and stuff, he watched how disciplined and regimented I was because I would come over to his house on nights and I'd be like, hey, I'm going to, bring over my lighting rig. I'm going to bring over my microphone, and I'm going to post some videos in York. He had this really cool, redone barn dominium shed kind of place, ping pong table upstairs. So I'd come over, I'd record videos, post them. I'd be like, hey, man, I'm going to go live while I'm here hanging out with you. We can hang out with the fans, talk. I'm gonna play music, and then once I'm done, you and I can play some ping pong and whatnot. And then I gotta go back home and I gotta hop on TikTok live because I was on Instagram live for an hour. So like I was bob back and forth just doing all this, and he's watching this all unfold in real time, and he was able to witness early on like the things that I was doing and watch how regimented I was, where yeah, we're still homies and I want to hang out with you, but he knew that I had a cutoff. I'm like, hey dude, I got to leave at this time and I got to go back home and I got to go record and I got to go do this. So it was he's been a ride or die for me, man, for a long time, and he's happy for me. And we were just out in Montana for over the summer for a quick little fly fishing trip. And just, yeah, loving the pieces. So, yeah.
So you are really country. For somebody who's from Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Well, that was my question. Do you ever hear like you can't be country from being in Pennsylvania?
Dude,
Like,
I had this
by the way, I just want to make it clear, the town he comes from smells like chocolate.
Well, yeah, it's
Okay?
Hershey Park.
No, but like you walk around and you open your windows and you drive through and the shit smells like chocolate. It's amazing. It's infectious.
It does when you're down in town in Hershey, but I was on the outskirts of Hershey. So like I was across from a dairy farm and I was on the outskirts. So you go for a drive, it's nothing but farm fields and, you know, Amish countries in Lancaster, which is like 30 minutes away from me. So people I feel like people think of like Pennsylvania, they think of Philly, they think of Pittsburgh, and they're like, oh, you're a city boy. I'm like, dude, I grew up behind my grandparents' house surrounded by nothing but farms. My grandfather was a mechanic, worked big machinery, so I was in the garage with him growing up, learning how to do things, watching him, fishing with him, hunting with him. My obsession for cars came from him. So it's like people want to have this like sense of like where does country come from? I'm like, where I originally grew up before I moved to Hershey, we had like 2 restaurants to pick from. Our version of going out was going to church and going to Costco in Harrisburg on Sundays. But like we had a diner, we had 2 diners and a pizza joint, small little town where I originally was from before moving to Hershey. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of country up there, man. Like
No, it is country.
Yeah. I mean, there is that thing where it's like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh with Alabama in the middle.
Yeah.
That's how people will describe Pennsylvania sometimes.
Or people think about New York and it's like, think about upstate New York.
Exactly.
I'm like, good Lord, man, their country is hell up there.
No, it's a totally different world.
Yeah. So it's that was definitely something I battled with when I came to Nashville and whatnot. I'm like, guys, country exists everywhere. Like it's not just in the South.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I'm like, get over it.
It's true. Country does exist everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about country, it's like, look at Canada. I was just in Canada.
They have a huge country music scene.
Oh my goodness, man. Canada throws down.
Yeah, they love it.
Oh my gosh, they are infectious up there for country music. I was up there in the spring on my first headlining Canada tour. We went from west to east and went through some crazy snowstorms. We lost the tour bus, had to get another tour bus shipped up to us. It was nuts. We were broke down one day. Where were we? Like in the middle of the mountains, and it was snowing and it was cold as balls. And we are just inching our way to the next destination. And we're like, are we even going to make it? But it was so cool to see Canada, Australia. I mean, you want to talk about country music fans?
They love
Australia. It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter. Oh, we're in the South. Like, this is country music. I'm like, get over yourself.
The country is everywhere.
Yeah.
And Warren's music is waiting for you on Amazon Music. Talk to your Alexa device or click the link below or scan the code on the screen. What are you thinking?
What's the story behind High Desert Road? I think that song's great.
Oh, man. High Desert Road. It's actually funny you should say that. I'm trying to think of it right now. I think that High Desert Road, when we wrote it, is kind of just like, I'm trying to think of the lyrics and everything. And I literally was just talking to the guy in the car, texting with him. Haven't heard from him in a second, but he just texted me before I came into this interview. High Desert Road, life is fleeting. And, you know, we only have so much time here on this earth. So it's like the second chorus is like, on a throne of saddle leather, riding out of here alone, thought my rain would last forever, but I'm a raindrop on a dry high desert road. So it's like the second that raindrop hits the pavement, it's gone. So I think that like the moral of the story is that you get one life, and life is fleeting, and it will come and pass you by in the blink of an eye. So have obsessions, have things that you're passionate about, love hard, be full in and everything. So when we were originally writing that song, we were actually kind of like writing it in the concept of possibly getting a placement in Yellowstone when I was writing that song, because so many people were like, hey, like the way you write, and you would be perfect for a Yellowstone pitch. But that song kind of developed into its own thing, and we were like, hey, if it gets picked up, it gets picked up. But that was kind of the premise behind the song.
Great record.
Thank you.
Great album. Well, great project that's leading into something larger.
Mm-hmm.
So how many songs will this album be?
I want to say 20 plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many songs do you think you've written
Oh, man.
just in the last few years since you started?
I'd actually love to know that statistic. I don't actually know, because I've written so many. Like, there's been times where, like, my team will send me a song, and I'll be like, oh, forgot I wrote that song. Like, oh, I wrote that? Like, oh, man, how long ago was that? But the stuff coming up, man, like, I teased a song, the demo version, because I don't even have it recorded yet, but I teased it last night on TikTok. It's a song called Love and Letting Go, and that has got to be one of the most heart-wrenching songs I've ever written. Like, straight tears coming down my face, like, writing that song. And it was in Miami when I was on that retreat. And the concept of it is, like, you can love someone so much, but there's love and letting go, and the fact of just, like, we're not right for each other, or we're not right for each other right now at this point in time. Like, you have to go through something, or you're going through a hard thing, and maybe I'm just not meant to be in your life right now and whatnot. And everything kind of ties in, man. It's like you have a song like Love and Letting Go, and You for a Reason, and like all these sentiments and stories behind my songs, they all have a kind of mesh together theme, which is so much fun and exciting when it comes to the writing process.
Do you write a song like that in a place of like contemplating letting go, or after you've let something go?
I think, like, honestly, like at that stage of point where I was still talking to the person, but we weren't together. And we were kind of both at a stage of like, we weren't committed to each other, but like we weren't like really seeing other people. It was more of just kind of like, we're friendly and whatnot, and we're still talking here and there. Things ended amicably, I guess is the word.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was never any bad blood. And that's the thing too about like me and whatnot. You know, I write these songs, and like, you know, there's pain and stuff, and there's heartache, but there's never really ever been anyone truthfully that I can recollect on that's ever truly like ever been super bad to me. It's just things happen, you know, and obviously I write about certain stories that might have happened through the relationship, but I've selected pretty wisely, I would say. You know, they've been good girls that have come along in my life, which I'm very grateful for. You know, Pretty Little Poison was interesting. But all that to be said, that song specifically I'm talking about right now, Love and Letting Go, I remember actually playing it for her. And her and I had a moment together of just like, we had a realization of like, yeah, you're not wrong. Like, we can't, you're kind of wanting to move on, or you need to figure yourself out, and you might be talking, it was just kind of like that. It was a gut-wrenching moment, like, but it made me realize how real the song is. So that's what made me so happy and sad at the same time, because like, if I can feel that much from that song, God, I hope that my fans will connect and resonate in the way that I am, and it'll shine through that.
I mean, for a song to like not only convey like really how you feel, but the truth.
Yeah.
And then to validate, like, that's heavy.
It is.
But that's art.
Yeah. It was a tough one, man. She was a good girl. Yeah.
You're very special. Your music's great.
This has been fun.
No, you're great.
I appreciate that.
We could talk for hours.
We could.
You should come back.
I would love to.
We're always here.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Genuinely mean that. You can listen to all of Warren's music. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. Relapse, and then the extension of this project. Do you want to share the title?
So the thing that's coming out will be called Relapse, Lies, and Betrayal. And they're all one-word titles, which I love, because it'll all make sense when everything comes to scene.
And it'll all be waiting for your ears. Only on Amazon, not only, but on Amazon Music. Go, go, go. Link below, code on screen. You good?
Yeah, I think that was a great ending, but I do have one question that has nothing to do with that.
No, go ahead.
Do your 7 concussions, do you have any lingering symptoms from them?
You know, man, I do get asked that, and I feel like there probably are certain things. I have a tendency to like, and it might be because I talk super fast, but like I slur my words even when I'm not even drunk.
Yeah.
But no, like I always joke around with my fans. I'm like, I know I have 7 concussions, but just be grateful that I can remember every single lyric to my songs on stage. But not that I can really think of that are super like, where I've been like, oh wow, that's definitely something that stems from my 7 concussions. So thank God. I think I got out at the right time. Thankfully, not all concussions were severe, but the reality when it comes to concussions is it doesn't matter if it's severe or if it's minor or whatever. The reason why I was getting so many is because the more you get, the more easier they happen. The more you're accepted to get them. So, yeah. But I'm good. Thank God.
Good. Making music.
Yeah.
Bunch of new stuff waiting for you. Relapse, Lies and Betrayals on Amazon Music. Thank you, Warren Zeiders.
Thank y'all. You guys have been a blast.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Ooh.